Hi everyone, we are here to tell you about how we invest in culture and work tools at ustwo. And I'm Sabine, and this is Mikael.
Hello.
I'm a strategist, and Mikael is an Agile coach.
Yeah, team coach and product owner at ustwo.
Boom. We have a studio in Malmö, down at Kärleksgatan. We also have a studio in London, and one in New York, and one in Sydney. And in total, we are about 250 people. We create digital products, and we do both our own things. We made a game called Monument Valley, which was a massive success. We released a couple of years ago. Maybe some of you had played. We do client works, and then we also do ventures where we team up with a company or someone who has a great idea for something, and then we produce it. And what we'll share with you in this presentation is some very practical tools on how we invest and do culture on a pretty everyday level. And then Mikael will share with you a tool that we developed for involvement. And culture is not something you have, it's something you do, it's something you have maintain and have to invest in to actually have. At least that's our statement. So at ustwo we work agile, which Mikael told me is no surprise for anyone here, which means that everyone works on one project, and the people who work on that project sit in the same project room, so they don't waste time on emailing and other stuff, but they can actually work together. We try to have a very open leadership team and open leadership in general, so the leadership meetings are open. Anyone can go as a guest and have input and comment on what's going on. And also every time the leadership basically farts, everyone will know about it and how that went, which is most of the time really good. It creates transparency. We encourage everyone to develop also on their own time and have their own projects to work on. And then so a statement is that if you make something, you actually make something. So before Monument Valley, which was a really big success for us, we did, of course, a lot of apps and games which was not very successful. But you have to make something to make something, and someday you'll eventually make it, hopefully. Sharing is also something that creates a really good culture. So, for example, the money that we made on Monument Valley, we have shared between all employees. Once a year, we go on a big holiday together. We don't work on this holiday, we go on holiday. So we sit by the beach and we hang out and we talk to each other and we figure out how people are actually when they're not working. And that creates a really good working environment when we then go back to work. A couple of years ago, we started hiring coaches. This is Peter, the guy in the middle, he's one of them. And instead of more traditional project managers. And I would say that coaches has a more soft background. They care about the team, they know things about problem solving, they know how to solve a conflict, they know, you know how a team collaborates and work together. And also they help with feedback in the entire organization. So how do you actually talk about problems? We try to create very cross-disciplinary teams whenever we kick off a project or in general to get as much knowledge into the team and in the project team as possible. And then we hire nice people. So it's super important that the people that works at ustwo is also a cultural fit, we say, that they are actually nice to work with, but of course also have some sort of skill set.
Yeah. And so you might ask, how does this sort of look in our everyday life? What is an example of what Sabine just talked about? And so I'm going to talk you through an example here. So a while ago, maybe a year, a little bit more, there was this reality check. ustwo was finding themselves in the awkward situation of earning a lot of money, doing really well, hiring a lot of people, and then all of a sudden realizing that hiring a lot of new people meant that you would recognize their face, but you really didn't know them. And if you want to build a Fampany or a company that really focuses on people, that's a problem. And what we realized was that we were outgrowing our organizational structure. The fun, the passion, the engagement was going down, stress was going up. And this was not aligned with how we want to work. So the leadership team took a few days off and they started to discuss this. And what they made was sort of 3, for us, radical decisions. One was to limit growth. So at the time we went from 20 to maybe 75 people. And we said that based on the learnings from other studios, they had gone through the same process. So we would cap ourselves to 85 people. And currently we're 80 in Malmö. So we're about to be there. And until we have figured out all the other stuff, we won't grow more than that, even though we could easily be double the size. They started to build a coach team and hired people like me, people that know about organizational culture, team dynamics, and process facilitation. Because when we were 20 people, the processes that we used could be face-to-face and talk about things. When you're 85 people or 80 people, you can't really do that. There needs to be sort of more official ways of working, especially for onboarding people. And then the last thing was to identify and develop sort of tools to measure our values, because right now we only measured, or at that point, we only measured profit and sort of revenue. So it was pure monetization. How do we measure the other things that we say that we want to focus on and value? And I'm going to show you one of our tools which we developed to do this. And just a comment on Click. So as you said, Tom said that there were 4 coaches at Click. We are 6 coaches on sort of these 80 people. So it's interesting to see what the coaches do and compare that perhaps. So right now we're 6 people in that team. But this is the tool, one of the tools we had. So we developed a few tools. This is one of them. This is the hexagon, and it's a glorified spider diagram. But what we sat down and discussed was sort of which values do we want to measure. And this is a tool that helps us revisit and sort of review each project that we take on. So I'm just going to check this out. Oh, yeah. And for us, these 6 were the ones that we landed on. So it's impact, money, growth, capability, awesomeness, and collaboration. For each project and each client we work on, before we even engage and do a pitch, we evaluate that project on this scale. And we do it in a cross-functional manner. So we have coaches in the room, we have business in the room, we have tech, and we have design. Everyone is represented. Impact for us is about sort of, can we make a meaningful impact on this project? Will it put a dent in the universe? Will we be forward thinking? Money for us is, can we make a margin on it? Because by if we earn money on it, then we can invest in other things like ventures and Monument Valley and that kind of stuff. Growth is there a potential for sort of growing the relationship? Is this a long-term thing or is it a short-term engagement? We like relationships, we like to meet people and stay with them, so is there potential for that? Capability is about, do we have the capability in-house? If not, we need to hire freelancers and consultants. That will put a strain on our culture and we will need to onboard them. So it's something we have to pay. Are we willing to pay that price? Awesomeness is a cool brand. Do people actually want to work on it? We have had to say no to clients because the money was really nice, and the growth was really sort of, there was a potential, but the awesomeness was so low that forcing people to work on this project would sort of cost us more, we thought, in the end. It wasn't aligned with our culture and it was not something people wanted to do, and then maybe the money is not good enough. And then collaboration is there a cultural fit between the client and us too? Do we have the same kind of values? Do we see that there will be a problem working together? And so we rate this for each project. We then do between 2 days and a week where we do workshops, we meet with the client, we hash out what is this project really about, what is it you want. Sometimes they might come and say, we want an app, and we say, maybe you don't need an app, maybe you need something else, so we try to find out. And after that workshop, after that week, we again reevaluate, is this still a project that we want to engage in? If we do want to engage in a project and it's a long term, then we revisit it during the project. So we actually go back to this and say, is this still a fun project? Is it still a fit with our culture? And then, of course, at the end of the project, we also do a new revisit. And then we do that for all the projects in the studio, so we can actually put them side by side or overlay them and sort of see how is the studio doing at this moment in time. Do we hit our targets? Are we working as we want to work? And if not, what is missing? Where do we lack, sort of? And it helps us it helps sort of to remind us that there are other stuff than money that sort of is important. And it also helps both business and the other teams to drive and sort of strive for other things than just the pure monetary measurements. And so the last tip that we would give to you is sort of, if you want to try this, that's great, but sort of be prepared to be patient and forgiving. It takes time. We've done this for roughly half a year now, so it's really for all our projects. It hasn't been without challenges, especially in those sort of cross-functional discussions where people might value different things or we might see things differently. But again, those discussions are really what creates our culture and builds our culture. And even little miracles like that take time. Thank you.